we're talking about the crisis along our southern border, a crisis that's turning one Arizona county into a deadly speedway for smuggling drugs and increasingly for smuggling people as well. This county in a rural area along the border is where migrant smuggling is rampant. It is very, very common, and investigators say the growing business is run by drug cartels.
Imagine a pitch-black night in the Arizona desert, the whistling wind of drones, a paramilitary cartel formation racing across the border with battlefield weapons. In the blink of an eye, the U.S. Marines respond with an unprecedented attack doctrine, intercepting the shipment all the way in the Caribbean, dismantling the network right in the heart of American cities. But if Washington pulls back, will the cartel see it as an invitation to cross the line? Is Venezuela sheltering them? Three horrifying truths have just emerged, turning the drug war into a regional power struggle that could explode at any moment. Are you ready to explore? At 2:17 in the morning in the darkness of the desert along the Rio Grande, a blip appears on the Arizona border radar. At first thought to be a small boat or stray drone, but when zoomed in, the image reveals an armed group moving in tight formation. A small flying vehicle transmits a signal that's hard to decode. What seemed like ordinary smuggling turns out to be a major threat. Not human traffickers or drugs, but a force like a miniature army challenging border security. Under the cover of night beyond sensor range, a cartel unit could silently cross the desert border disguised as routine activity. But what if they possess secret weapons invisible to detection systems? This is no longer fiction. Security officials report cartels testing GPS jamming spoofing signals along the U.S. border to disrupt surveillance. Imagine drones coated in radar-absorbing material flying undetected, or stealth boats gliding across the Rio Grande like ghosts. Under the cover of night, beyond sensor range, a cartel unit could silently cross the desert border disguised as routine activity. This is no longer fiction. Security officials say cartels are testing GPS jamming spoofing signals along the U.S. border to disrupt surveillance. Imagine drones coated in radar-absorbing material flying invisible or stealth boats gliding across the Rio Grande like ghosts, or a communication network using sophisticated spoofed signals, causing sensors to mistake it for civilian traffic. If this technology is scaled up, border patrols lose their overall visibility. Late alerts, sluggish responses, infiltrations that look like harmless crossings until it's too late. By then, the cartel teams operate like miniature military forces, coordinating maneuvers, surveillance drones, high-speed boats, blending guerrilla and conventional tactics. The ripple effect spills inland sleeper cells activating in American cities, stealth supply lines turning weapons and money tracking into a deadly game of cat and mouse. But what if this isn't just theory? What if the cartels have already tested it at the border? The desert lies silent, broken only by the chirp of crickets and the intermittent pings from border sensors. After 3:12 in the morning in the quiet before dawn, an anomaly appears on the surveillance grid. Infrared imagery reveals figures moving in tight formation from a boat on the Rio Grande to the shore. Border agents hold their breath. An unreleased intelligence report warns that cartels are testing drone-guided incursions along the Arizona border. Local officials note illegal delivery drones penetrating 50 miles into the U.S. This is no longer simple smuggling, but real-time surveillance via UAVs with cameras. The cartel is probing Arizona defenses with high-speed boats, a genuine landing test. A fleet of high-speed boats carrying armed men glides across the river in the night. Upon reaching the shore, quadcopter drones fly overhead transmitting maps back to a remote command center. The precision and coordination are unnerving. Bushes conceal uniformed forces assembling tightly. Sensors fail and patches thermal images flicker. Border forces realize this is not ordinary smuggling but a tactical formation, a rehearsal. The cartel is upgrading to military-style raids, preparing through reconnaissance drones and coordination. The intercepted drones are not amateur equipment. Stealth drones, equipped with night lenses, transmit terrain images, detect patrols, and guide safe paths for the ground team. The team moves fluidly, exploiting blind spots, coordinating like small-scale military tactics. When the Marines arrive, the group retreats across the border, leaving behind a communication log, blurry drone footage, and boot prints. The cartel is not just smuggling, but testing landings, coordination, and withdrawals, exposing U.S. border vulnerabilities with advanced technology. Where does the power and money come from? Dawn breaks, and the incident is just a headline. In the heart of American cities, from Denver to Miami, cartel operatives blend into restaurants, construction crews, and safe houses, forming logistics nodes. These are not random criminals. They are covert agents under civilian cover infiltrating deep inland. In 2021, cartels earned $13 billion from human trafficking along the U.S.-Mexico border, not counting drugs, according to congressional testimony. From scattered networks, they have built a tight enterprise controlling transportation, finance, communications, and infrastructure, creating a dangerous battlefield within America itself. The cartel network penetrates deep into American commerce and communities. In Phoenix, an ordinary apartment conceals a hub for coordinating smuggling routes, communications, or weapons distribution. In Dallas, a small trucking company mixes legal and illicit cargo using shell companies to hide finances. Cartels exploit loopholes in anti-money laundering laws with complex corporate structures. Most alarming cartel operatives live among communities working in services, construction sites, and remotely running smuggling operations. Americans unknowingly pass by them every day. They wear familiar faces and everyday habits, but serve as nodes in an illegal empire. The cartel network doesn't just live off human trafficking, it fuels corruption, finances weapons, and uses cyber tools to evade detection. In 2025, the U.S. Treasury targets cartel-linked companies involved in fuel theft, oil smuggling, and funneling profits into the black economy. Cartels diversify beyond drugs, turning energy theft, extortion, and logistics into profit centers hidden within business deals, transportation, energy, and auto imports, infiltrating local economies. If cartels are forced to ally more closely with nations or shift to endless asymmetric guerrilla warfare, which do you think would be more dangerous to the U.S. border, a nation cartel alliance, or a shadowy, never-ending guerrilla war? In small towns, unwitting companies lend a hand renting warehouses, providing transportation or cleaning services. In big cities, real estate hides millions in laundered money. The cartel network spans wide, exploiting murky corporate structures and weak ownership laws, according to anti-money laundering forces. Federal agents report cartels influencing city gangs and smuggling hubs. Local networks gather intelligence, coordinate with cartel contacts across the border, and protect urban supply lines. Once safe communities now support tactical border operations. The war spills from the border deep into America's heartland, cloaked in everyday life. The cartel's $13 billion empire isn't just about human trafficking and drugs, it's building a shadow state. Who guards this billion-dollar network? Could foreign nations be turning cartels into proxy forces? Before the Arizona clashes, the bigger chessboard looms in the Caribbean, with Venezuela accused of providing safe haven logistics and covert support to the cartels. One notorious group, designated by the U.S. as a transnational drug trafficking organization, has ties to government security forces. In early September, the U.S. Navy struck a vessel off Venezuela's coast, killing 11 people. The Trump administration accused a ship belonging to a drug smuggling group heading toward the United States, marking a shift as Washington viewed this as an armed conflict rather than merely a criminal issue. The U.S. deployed 8 warships and thousands of personnel in the Caribbean, emphasizing the serious connection between Venezuela and the cartels. Caracas called this an act of aggression, and President Maduro urged a national mobilization warning against any intrusion. Venezuela quickly deployed the Bolivarian militia, announcing the call-up of its citizens to defend the homeland. The Venezuelan government declared that the cartels operate under state sponsorship, blending with security forces and becoming a strategic asset of the regime. The boundary between cartel and state has blurred. Is this a cartel war or a state war? Cartel convoys cross borders with military precision supported by supply chains within national territory. The cartels are not merely organized crime, they have evolved into geopolitical instruments synchronized with Venezuela's security apparatus. This elevates the U.S. strategic posture. Clashes along the Arizona border have become confrontations against a transnational military network backed by a state. If Venezuela considers maritime attacks an act of war, each border incident could ignite a regional conflict. To assert its position, the United States struck back decisively. Under the cover of night on international waters, the U.S. Navy emerged. In early September, a coordinated operation in the southern Caribbean deployed warships, surveillance aircraft, and rapid response teams targeting Venezuela and the main narcotics routes. The operation went beyond localized interceptions, aiming to dismantle the cartel's entire supply chain. The first bold move came on September 2nd when the United States attacked a vessel linked to Venezuelan criminal networks, killing 11 people and sinking the ship. Trump released a video calling the target a Tren de Aragua drug ship headed for the United States. Subsequent strikes followed on October 3rd. Officials confirmed a fourth attack off the Venezuelan coast, destroying a drug-carrying vessel and killing 4 individuals. Beyond the sea, U.S. Marines and Special Forces intensified cross-border operations. Instead of defending in Arizona, the United States took the offensive, raiding staging points and infiltrating cartel logistics hubs before the shipments were unloaded. Coordinated intelligence, combined sea-land forces and air support, left the cartels with nowhere to hide. A coastal raid by the U.S. Marines uncovered a cache of military weapons, grenades, anti-personnel mines, and modified drones, evidence that the cartels had escalated into combat forces. The Navy intercepted and seized thousands of gallons of fuel and ammunition intended for high-speed incursions across the U.S. border. The United States dismantled the cartel's logistical network, neutralizing them before they reached Arizona, shifting from defense to an all-out offensive against infrastructure anywhere it exists. This approach is fraught with risk, violating sovereignty, straining diplomacy, and escalating tensions if Caracas deems it an act of aggression. But the danger was too great to wait. The U.S. announced a new doctrine to hunt down the cartels rather than merely block them. However, as America struck abroad, the cartels retaliated by bringing the war onto U.S. soil. Under the shadow of the border, cartel forces launched their attack. The attack began stealthily, silhouettes crossing the Rio Grande, rifles in hand, drones buzzing overhead. The quiet night shattered as Marines and Border Patrol detected clustered heat signatures in the brush. The cartel wasn't smuggling, they came to fight, moving with unexpected discipline. Recon drones relayed signals, ground teams advanced in sync. The United States was ready. Radar sensors and infrared systems swept the desert. They locked onto targets and opened fire with precision on the leading group. Cartel drones faltered as their signals were jammed, but the U.S. maintained its advantage in visibility. Gunfire erupted with small explosions shaking the ground as the cartel counterattacked, but they quickly lost their footing. The Marines suppressed their fire and executed a flanking maneuver. Recovery teams gathered the remains, drones, grenades, and improvised mines. The cartel had prepared for battle, not just skirmish. What began as guerrilla tactics turned into an organized engagement. Within 15 minutes, the cartel line collapsed, retreating into the darkness. The final drone fell in flames. For the first time, a major cartel incursion was openly destroyed on U.S. soil. The message was clear: cross the border like an army and you will meet overwhelming firepower. The investigation team collected shell casings, drone fragments, and encrypted devices. Analysis revealed that the modified drones were designed to evade radar. The plot had failed, yet the cartel's ambitions had risen to the level of hybrid warfare. The border was no longer about smuggling, it was about sovereignty and power. At desert dawn, scorched dust, silent earth, the incursion had vanished, leaving only the echoes of battle. A turning point. The cartel was crushed on American soil. As the smoke cleared over Arizona, the impact reached beyond the border. The United States had not only repelled an intrusion, but sent a global message: the cartel network would be cut down anywhere from the desert to the Caribbean. The cartels may tighten their cooperation with state actors or shift toward asymmetric guerrilla-style warfare. If the United States were to pull back its message, would weaken signaling to the cartels that this was a line they could cross. The Arizona desert clash exposed three truths. The cartels have now become paramilitary forces equipped with drones, tactical formations, and battlefield weapons. The United States has adopted an offensive doctrine, intercepting Caribbean shipments, dismantling domestic networks, and deploying Marines. And the danger is spreading into a regional struggle, with Venezuela accused of sheltering these groups, turning the conflict into something far more unstable. From the Arizona desert clash, the greatest lesson for us is this: the border is not just a line on a map, it is a vital boundary of national security. The cartels have evolved from smugglers into paramilitary forces, forcing the United States to shift from defense to preemptive offense. The silence after the gunfire serves as a reminder that ignoring today's threat is an invitation to tomorrow's chaos. Every citizen must remain vigilant, observe, speak out, and support firm policies, because security is not solely the government's responsibility. It is a shared duty. The Arizona desert has gone quiet, but the darkness still spreads. The cartels have transformed into guerrilla armies with drones and battlefield weapons. The United States has shifted from defense to full-scale offense, with Marines directly taking down the enemy. Venezuela is suspected of aiding them, turning the drug war into a volatile regional struggle ready to erupt at any moment. Should the U.S. push all the way or retreat before full-scale war? Pick your side. Comment now. Go all the way or retreat now. Like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next developments. The ending is in your hands.